or visitors at the house. If I give her something, unless she don't want nobody to have it, she stay in the car and eat it. Pastor gave me this and I want nobody to get nothing, so I'm going to sit out here and eat it. But if she takes it in the house, she's going to be a blessing to somebody else. So when you're preparing for your harvest, you're preparing for your harvest along with helping somebody else. Do we have any people, anybody that just genuinely likes to help people? But you can't help unless you've been helped. You can't take care of nobody unless you have been taken care of. You can't be strength to nobody unless you have strength for yourself. All right? So it's time for us to be real. What do you mean by being real? And I want you all to write this down so you would know. In order for you to move forward, first, real means not imagined. Real means significant. Real means serious. You don't write all of that. Real means not artificial. Real sugar is not splendor or equal. Y'all got it? Real means not artificial. Real means to be genuine. So in order for me to reap and prepare for my harvest, I must be real. So in order to be real, these are the four things I have to do. The first one is I have to acknowledge, I have to admit it, I have to face it, and I have to deal with it. In order for me to be real and move forward, what are my steps in moving forward? I first must acknowledge it, which means I have to learn to accept and admit the existence of truth. I have to admit the existence of truth. I have to acknowledge it. That means you now have to move out of the state of denial. Is there anybody in here, there's nothing wrong with being like that? I mean, not that there's not wrong with it. You don't have nothing to be ashamed of, that's what I'm saying. Anybody that has dealt with denial some way or another? We go through those. You got folks heavy, they just deny. I can tell by the way they dress. They swear they skinny. I mean, because if you recognize your size, you wouldn't wear that. There's no way in God's creation you would wear that if you knew. People in denial think they losing weight when they're really not. People in denial think, we're in denial of all kinds of situations. Some of us live in messed up families, and when I say families, I'm talking about relationships. Some of us have tainted friendships because we're in denial. Guess what? Because my friend would never do that to me. My friend would never turn on me. That is my friend. That's been my friend for 43 years. My friend would never. We're in denial. Understand, as long as they got breath in anybody has will to do whatever. Now, we don't want them to, but we live in denial. So first, acknowledge it. I'm talking about moving forward. Preparing for your harvest, acknowledge it. The next thing is to admit. Accept what's valid and confess to it. I acknowledge that I'm an alcoholic, but I have not confessed it. I don't really admit it. I know that's what I am, but I don't admit it. And that's why in AA, what do you say? My name is Simone, and I am an alcoholic. And you may not have had a drink for, 10, 15 years. But you have to always keep that in the forefront of your mind. That's what they tell you. Always say, I am an alcoholic. Because as you've been delivered from it, you've recovered from it, but all you need is one time to slip back into it. So you always say, I'm an alcoholic. My name is Simone. I'm an alcoholic. 20 years later, my name is Simone. And you might say, well, why do you keep saying it? Because if I keep it in front of me of what I was, it keeps me from going back to that particular part of my life. So I have to admit it. I have to confess. After I acknowledge it, after I admit it, now I got to face it. That's one of the hardest things for us to deal with, is to face it. Because nobody wants to face, confront, and deal with situations. And that's where denial comes. We tend to sweep it under the rug, and it works its way back out. We don't want to admit that that's what it is. We don't want to face the giants in our lives. We don't want to face the abuse. We don't want to face the torment. We don't want to face that this one has hurt me. We don't want to face it. But I got to acknowledge, admit it, and face it. When I begin to face it, I got to learn how to deal with it. And you don't move in that part of dealing with it until you acknowledge it and admit it. And dealing with it is hard. Because now I have to see it for what and who it really is. That means in this part,